Good morning, students. This is Alim Jafri, Faculty of Psychology, Islamia College. So, in previous classes, we have completed Credit 3. So, today we are going to start Credit 4. So, Credit 4 is counseling skills. Okay, the first subtopic of Credit 4 is approaches to counseling. In that, we are going to discuss three approaches mainly. They are psychoanalytic approach, behavioristic approach, humanistic approach. Okay, so let us discuss about these approaches, each and every starting from the psychoanalytic approach. So, psychoanalytic approach. So, as we all know, psychoanalytic approach is given by Sigmund Freud, as we have discussed about Sigmund Freud in previous classes. So, Sigmund Freud, who is considered one of the forefathers of psychology and the founder of psychoanalysis. So, this therapy explores how the unconscious mind influences thoughts and behaviors with the aim of offering insight and resolution to the person seeking therapy. So, psychoanalysis therapy deals about exploring unconscious mind. Okay, as we have already discussed. Okay, in Sigmund Freud divided mind into three stages, that is conscious, subconscious and unconscious. Okay, conscious is which is a communicating mind, like a present situation, or it is an active mind which communicate with the persons and community. Oh, it is always active. Okay, whereas in subconscious, like it is deals about recent experiences. Okay, like past experience, recent past experiences. Then coming to the unconscious means it is like very old, like from your childhood or 4 5 years back experiences. Those all come under unconscious. So here they have divided our mind into conscious, subconscious and unconscious. So here in psychoanalytic approach, they explore the thoughts and behaviors with the aim of offering insight and resolution to the person seeking therapy. They give this therapeutic therapy in this psychoanalytic approach by exploring the unconscious behavior or unconscious thoughts. And psychoanalytic therapy tends to look at experiences from early childhood. Okay, because here we are exploring unconscious mind. So unconscious mind is from very long back, since childhood they explore the experiences, thoughts and behavior. So experiences from early childhood to see if these events have affected the individual's life. Okay, so from past events they study whether those events or experiences are influencing his present behavior or not. So are potentially contributed to current concerns. So this form of therapy is considered a long term choice and can continue weeks, months or even years. Okay, so this is a very long term therapy. It starts from the days, weeks, months and it can also take years also. And differing from several other therapies types, psychoanalytic therapy aims to make deep seated changes in personality and emotional development. Okay, because it is a slow and gradual process or gradual therapy, but its change is everlasting. The result is very good. It takes much time, but the result is very effective. Then role of the counselor in this psychoanalytic therapy: to encourage the development of transference. So what is the transference here? This also we have studied in the Sigmund Freud psychoanalytic therapy. Transference is nothing but transfer of beliefs, thoughts or experiences from the past is called as transference, transferring something. So giving the client a sense of safety and acceptance. So here the counselor along with the transference is giving a sense of safety as well as acceptance. The client freely explores difficult material and experiences from their past. Okay, so he tried to explore the experiences from the past events and giving insight and working through unresolved issues. Gaining insight. What is the meaning of insight? A deeper understanding, creating a deeper understanding into the client's mind about his experiences is called gaining insight. And working through unresolved issues means what are the conflicts or problems suffering the client from very past or since long back. So those all comes under unresolved issues. So the counselor is an expert who interprets for the client. So he interprets the client's thoughts and experiences in order to understand the behavior of a client. Then goals of the therapy: helping the client being into the conscious the unconscious. So helping the client bring into the conscious the unconscious. So whatever experiences are rooted in the client's unconscious mind, that will be bring into conscious mind, okay, with the help of counselor. And helping the client work through a developmental stage that was not resolved or where the client became fixated, okay, helping him, so where he is unable to resolve the issues or conflict, in that the counselor helps. Then to reconstruct the basic personality, so here not only we are exploring his unconscious mind, we also reconstructing the personality, we are developing the good behavior of the client here, so that is reconstructing of basic personality. Then to assist clients in revealing earlier experiences and working through repressed conflicts, okay, revealing experiences, earlier experiences means what happened to the client in his past years or in his childhood or any accident or anything, so that it is related to the present behavior or present situation. And working through repressed conflicts. What is the repressed conflicts? Repressed conflicts are in unconscious desires or emotions which are creating problems to the client, that is repressed conflicts. And to achieve intellectual awareness, okay, here the counselor helps the client to make aware about his own abilities and potentialities. Intellectual awareness means what he can able to do, what type of potentials he is possessing, okay, so those all things comes under intellectual awareness. And help the client adjustment to the demands of work, intimacy and society. So not only make them to resolve their problem, okay, and make them to adjust, okay, in the demands of the work, okay, the wherever they are working, their department or their field. And intimacy means bringing closure to their family members or their friends or the society. Because of that problem, they may become as isolated person, so because of this counseling, they bring the intimacy among those people and society also, so make them to become a socialized and well fed person for the society. Next, therapeutic relationship. The analyst remains anonymous. Anonymous means unidentified, or his name is not known, and clients develop projections towards him or her. So focus is on reducing the resistance that develop in working with transference, okay. Here they focus of the resistance means the things which are stopping to go ahead, okay, like whatever when they are going ahead in this counseling process, what are the things which are dragging behind them, okay, so those behaviors are identified here, okay. And working with transference, okay, what is transference? Transference is relates to the way you may be transferring thoughts or feelings connected to influential figures in your life, okay. Transferring is nothing but transferring of your thoughts and beliefs which occurred in your previous past life, okay, like childhood or early childhood, that may have any connection to your present situation or present problem, so that you are transferring the thoughts and beliefs into the present situation, so that you can understand the problem or the things which are creating your behavioral problems, okay. So that is called as here transference. And on establishing more rational control, clients undergo long-term analysis, engage in free association to uncover conflicts and gain insight by talking, okay. The analyst makes interpretations to teach them the meaning of current behaviors related to the past. So by bringing this past events or past experiences here, counselor is making connection between his past and present experiences, and he make them to realize about what situations or what obstacles are stopping him to go ahead in his future, okay, or what type of conflicts or sufferings are making him to create problems in his life. So those all will be revealed here, okay. So then techniques of therapy: interpretation, dream analysis, free association, analysis of resistance. These all we will discuss after this. So interpretation, dream analysis, free association, analysis of resistance, analysis of transference, all are designed to help client gain access to their unconscious conflicts. Okay, so these all are the techniques we are using in the Freud's psychoanalytic theory, which leads to insight and eventual assimilation of new material by the ego. And diagnosis and testing are often used. Questions are used to develop a case history. Okay, along with these techniques, they are also using diagnosis and testing. Okay, and questions are also they are asking in order to reveal the information of the client. So let us discuss the each and every technique. So the first one is free association. Free association is a process where the client verbalizes any thoughts that may without censorship. Free association is nothing but the client reveals each and everything without any editing of the events or experiences. Okay, whatever events or experiences has occurred to him in his life, that will be revealed by the client without any editing or without any censorship. As it is, he will reveal in front of the counselor. That is called free association. Then dream analysis. Okay, what type of dreams the individual is getting? Okay, because most of the dreams relate based upon the unconscious mind, some desires, okay, some strong revenges or some unfulfilled wishes, whatever are there, that will be stored in unconscious mind, that will appear in your dreams. So that analysis also helpful for the client and counselor to overcome the problems. That is dream analysis. And analysis of transference. So the process where the client is encouraged to attribute, okay, where the client is encouraged to reveal the information, the past experiences since his early childhood, whatever things has happened to him, that all will be revealed to the counselor. And analysis of resistance. Okay, so resistance is what are the things which are stopping them to go ahead in this process of counseling. So that will be analyzed here. And interpretation, by collecting all this information from the free association, dream analysis, transference, and analysis of resistance, they interpret here with the help of counselor. Okay, then applications. What are the applications of this psychoanalytic theory is psychoanalytic therapy can be used by those with a specific emotional concern as well as those who simply want to explore themselves. Okay, so those who are suffering with the emotional problems and those who want to explore themselves, because some people's personality is unknown, because they are unable to understand what they are, because of their behavior. Okay, because of the unacceptable social behavior, they want to know why they are behaving like this. Okay, or what is the reasons for such kind of behavior. So for that reason, if they want to explore, they can undergo this psychoanalytic theory or psychoanalytic approach. So understanding why we are or the way we are often brings with a sense of well-being and a stronger sense of self. Okay, so it creates a stronger sense of self, as psychoanalytic therapy is considered one of the more long-term therapy types, is the perhaps less useful for those seeking quick solution. But this therapy is not full for those who want a quick resolution or immediate solution for their problems. Okay, so this is for only those people, those who want to go in a gradual mode of process, and those who want to know about them slowly with recollecting the past experiences and connecting with the present experiences. For them it is suitable, but for the people, those who want quick solutions for their problems, that for them this approach is not suitable. So next, how does psychoanalytic therapy work? See, psychoanalytic therapy is insight driven and therefore looks a faster change by by helping you to understand your past and how events from your early life could be affecting you now. Okay, so it provides an insight, deeper understanding. Why it provides you a deeper understanding? Because you are coming from your past, since your childhood, how you have developed, what experiences you have gained, what things has happened to you. These all things you are analyzing since your childhood. So what happened? It gives a deeper understanding that how your growth and development has occurred. Okay, that gives a deeper understanding of yourself. and sessions will vary according to where you are in the course. Okay, the sessions of the counseling will vary according to where you are in the course of your therapy, but much of the time will be spent talking freely to your therapist. Okay, so most of the time you talk freely, because in this one technique is free association, means you are communicating freely with your therapist in a safe non-judgmental environment. Means here the counselor do not judge the client's personality very fast, because this is a lengthiest procedure. Okay, so at the end he has to interpret the results, so he do not judge the client's personality very immediately. And the psychoanalyst will listen to your concerns and look out of patterns or certain events that may hold significance. So he listen carefully all the events of your past experiences and all. Okay, and he look out very carefully, and he give the significance to the experiences of the client. And in this type of therapy, it is believed that unconscious feelings and childhood events play a key role. Okay, so because this whole therapy is based upon the unconscious mind, so how those unconscious events are playing a key role in this, they are going to analyze. And as well as listening to you discuss your experiences, your therapist may use other techniques to help identify potential causes for your concerns. Okay, so such techniques are, we already know, free association means giving freedom to the individual to express his feelings and opinions, and therapeutic transference means transferring his beliefs, thoughts and experiences from past to present, and interpretation means interpreting the result based upon the free association, therapeutic transference, dream analysis, resistant analysis. At the end, they interpret the results of your thoughts, your interests, your beliefs and your experiences. Finally, the value judgment occur at the end. Then he interpret the results of your behavior. Then if we see the limitations of this psychoanalytic approach, requires lengthy training for therapists and much time and expenses for clients. It is the lengthiest procedure to adapt. Okay, and much time it require. It is cost effective in the sense of money as well as time consuming. Okay, and the model stresses biological and instinctive factors to the neglect of social, cultural and interpersonal ones. Here in this approach we are only focusing on the client's biological and personal factors. We are not seeing whether the society is affecting his behavior, whether the culture is affecting his behavior. We are not seeing other domains or other components. Only with the individual we are focusing with his biological aspects, with his past experiences. Only in this way we are judging. Okay, we are not seeing the other components maybe which are factoring his behavior or not. And its methods are not applicable for solving specific problems of clients in lower socioeconomic classes and are not appropriate for many ethnic and cultural groups. So see, this approach is not suitable for the people, those who are belonging from lower socioeconomical backgrounds like marginalized classes, deprived classes, or people from isolated backgrounds. Okay, and the ethnic and cultural groups, okay, the limited cultures, those people are unable to reveal their past experiences. Okay, so because they don't know what behavior they are possessing, so they are unable to give answers to this experiences. So this is not suitable for the low socioeconomic people and other ethnic and cultural background people. So what are the limitations of this approach is lengthiest procedure. Okay, it gives importance to only personal factors. It do not take consideration into social and cultural factors, and it is not suitable for the low socioeconomic background people. Okay, so this is about the psychoanalytic approach. Then second approach is behavioristic approach of counseling. Okay, the behavioristic, the name itself indicates, it will focus on the change of behavior. Okay, so as the name implies, this approach focuses on behavior changing unwanted behaviors through rewards, reinforcement and desensitization. Okay, what they are doing here they are changing the behavior, okay, through rewards, by giving the reward, okay, or by reinforcement or by appreciation. And desensitization, what is the meaning of desensitization? It is nothing but to extinguish an emotional response. Desensitization is to extinguish an emotional response such as fear, anxiety or guilt. Okay, if the person is suffering with this fear, anxiety or guilt, it will be removed from this behavioral approach. And this therapy is based on the belief that behavior is learnt in response to past experience and can be unlearned also. Here the individual behavior is learned with the help of past experiences or cannot be learned also. Either it is learned or may not be learned with the help of past experiences. And are reconditioned. Okay, maybe the conditions also changed in order to change their behavior, and without analyzing the past to find the reason for the behavior, and without analyzing what happened to him in the past, without analyzing that, they can change their behavior by conditioning their behavior. Okay, so it works well for the compulsive and obsessive behavior. Okay, so first we have to understand here what is the meaning of compulsive and obsessive behavior. What is compulsive behavior? It is compulsive behavior is performing an act persistently and repetitively. Okay, if you are performing any act persistently, continuously and repetitively without it necessarily leading to an actual reward. Okay, so without your intention is not to get reward, but because of your interest you are doing that action, so that type of behavior is called as compulsive behavior. Okay, the action which you are performing persistently and repetitively without it's necessarily leading to an actual reward or pleasure. Okay, so for pleasure you are not doing those things, and you are doing continuously and again, that kind of behavior is called as compulsive behavior. Next, obsessive behavior. What is obsessive behavior? Obsessive thoughts are persistent urges, unwanted emotional pull that causes distress, anxiety and disturbance of a person's daily routine. Means the stress and anxiety and distress, this all comes under obsessive behavior. These disturbance the person's daily life routine. Okay, this is called obsessive behavior. Clear? What is compulsive behavior? Compulsive behavior is you do your things or actions repetitively or continuously without gaining of any reward or pleasure. That is compulsive behavior. Obsessive behavior is you are here some things like from your urges, your emotions, angry, anxiety, distress. Okay, these are disturbing your daily routine. Those behaviors are called as obsessive behavior. So compulsive behavior and obsessive behavior, fears, phobias and addictions, for removing these things, okay, we use this behavioristic approach. So someone whose fear of germs, okay, here one example we are giving. For someone whose fear of germs leads to excessive washing, for example, may be trained to relax and not wash his or her hands after touching a public doorknob. Okay, so for example, those who are highly conscious of microbes, what they do, for after touching each and every object they wash their hands. Okay, of course it is right, but it's not possible because these microorganisms are ubiquitous in nature. They are present everywhere, in the air, in the soil, each and everywhere they are present. But how many times you do like this? Okay, to some extent it is good, but if the person is highly conscious, if he is showing his compulsive behavior over there, doing again and again same the thing, it is not possible to some extent. Okay, so for changing of that kind behavior also we are using behavioristic approach. Okay, so behavioral therapy often involves the cooperation of others, especially family, close friends, to reinforce a desired behavior. So here instead of the counselor and therapist, we also use the help of family members, friends and community members in order to reshape the behavior of the individual. Okay, so this is the introduction of behavioristic approach. Then what is the role of the counselor in this behavioristic approach? The roles of the behavioral counselor are varies and include being a consultant, a reinforcer. Okay, he is a consultant, he is a reinforcer, and a facilitator. He provide facilities to the individual or the client in order to reveal the information, in order to change his behavior. He is a facilitator. Okay, and reinforcer means he provide opportunities, he give appreciation, he motivates the individual. And the counselor is active and may supervise other people in the client's environment to achieve the goals of therapy. He is active and he also observes the other people, those who are linked with the client, in order to change the behavior. And counselors using social learning may model the desired behavior. Okay, they use social learning means in the society, in the community environment, they use this therapy. And while respondent and operant conditioning counselors are more directive and prescriptive in their approach of this therapy goals. Okay, what is the respondent and operant conditioning? Okay, you might have heard the experiment of Pavlov. Okay, Pavlov's experiment. Okay, that is based upon respondent conditioning. Here a learning in this respondent conditioning, a learning procedure in which a potent biological stimulus such as food. Okay, if a biological stimulus is food, it is paired with the previously neutral stimulus. Example is bell. Okay, in Pavlov's experiment, food is given to the dog when the bell rings. Okay, so such type of conditioning is called as respondent conditioning. Okay, when the food is giving, when the bell is rings. Okay, so this type of conditioning is called as respondent conditioning. Okay, and operant conditioning is a type of associative learning. Okay, like a process through which the strength of a behavior is modified by reinforcement or punishment. In operant conditioning, you are changing the behavior of individual by giving a reinforcement or punishment. Either you are giving reward, either you are giving punishment. For example, for promoting the good behavior, you are giving reward. For stopping the bad behavior, you are giving the punishment. So like this conditioning is called as operant conditioning. Okay, so these conditionings also used by the counselors in this therapy. And goals of the therapy, what are the goals? See here, generally to eliminate maladaptive behavior. What is the meaning of maladaptive behavior? Okay, maladaptive behavior, the term maladaptive is used to describe types of behavior that inhibit your ability to adjust the situations. Okay, if a person is unable to adjust in the society or in any situation, so that type of behavior is called as maladaptive behavior. Means they are unable to adjust in any situation. That kind of persons are that kind of behavior is called as maladaptive behavior. Okay, so and learn more effective behaviors. So generally to remove this type of maladaptive behavior, we use this counseling. That is one of the goal of this counseling. And to focus on factors influencing behavior and find what can be done about problematic behavior. Okay, so to focus on what can be done about the problematic behavior, clients have an active role in setting treatment goals and evaluating how well these goals are being met. Okay, so how we can change the behavior, how effectively we can deal with the client. These are the goals of this therapy, and in order to remove the maladaptive behavior. Next, therapeutic relationship. The therapist is here. What is the relationship between client and counselor? Is therapeutic relationship. So the therapist is active and directive and functions as a teacher or a trainer. Okay, he is functioning as a teacher and trainer in helping clients learn more effective behavior. Okay, here he is helping the client to learn more effective behavior. And clients must be active in the process and experiment with new behavior. So they also must be active in the process of and experiment with new behavior. Although a quality client and therapist relationship is not viewed as a sufficient to bring about change, a good working relationship is essential. Okay, so although if these techniques are not working to bring the change in the clients, so we have to create a good working relationship with the client. Then techniques of therapy, what are the techniques we are using in the behavioristic approach are, the main techniques are systematic desensitization. So here desensitization means extinguishing or removing of the behaviors such as anxiety, angry, okay, bad emotions, fear. These all things we have to remove here. So that is called as desensitization. Extinguishing of negative emotions is called as desensitization. And relaxation methods. Okay, so what are the relaxation methods to overcome the angry and anxiety and stress we follow here? That is relaxation methods. Fluiding. Okay, fluiding is nothing but the term is used to treat phobia and anxiety disorders. Okay, fluiding is the term to use in the psychology or in the psychotherapy to treat the phobia and anxiety disorders, including post-traumatic stress disorder. Means after the, if anybody is met with an incident or anything happened to them, after that we use this fluiding technique in order to remove their stress, anxiety or fear about that incident. That is fluiding. Then eye movement and desensitization reprocessing. Okay, what is the meaning of eye movement and desensitization reprocessing? It is a technique. It is a growing in popularity, particularly for treating post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder. We also abbreviated it as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It occurs often after experiences such as military combat, physical assault, okay, or any car accident. After that, if after any incidents, if the person is suffering with that traumatic disorder, for treating that for such kind of people, we use this eye movement and desensitization reprocessing. Okay, this is a new growing technique in the psychology. We use this technique to treat the people, those who are suffering with the post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, like for example, after the car accident, after the physical assault, okay, after that, if they are suffering with any disorder, to treating that kind of people, we use this technique. And reinforcement techniques. Okay, modeling is nothing but changing or shaping the behavior. Cognitive restructuring, okay, changing their mental aspects. And assertion is like aggressive statements are the beliefs of the client. Okay, social skills training, self management programs, behavioral rehearsal, okay, coaching and various multimodal therapy techniques we are using in this behavioristic approach. And diagnosis or assessment is done at the outset to determine a treatment plan. Okay, even diagnosis also they are at the outset. Okay, and questions are used such as what, how and when. Okay, here along with these techniques, they are also using questioning techniques such as what, how and when, but not why. Okay, why question we do not use in this approach. Okay, because it is already over here. Our aim is to treat the behavior, not, we should not question why this behavior has occurred. You can draw the data, you can get the data what has happened to him because of this behavior, but you should not frequently question like why it has happened. For that only you are doing this counseling. Okay, then contracts and homework assignments also typically used. Okay, for some home assignments also they used to give to the clients. Then applications. What are the applications of this behavioristic approach? A pragmatic approach. Pragmatic is means practical. A pragmatic approach based upon empirical validation. Means empirical means the things or the actions which we get through our senses are called as empirical validation of results. Okay, through what you have seen, what you have listened. Okay, through that you will validate the results. Okay, and enjoys wide applicability to individual, group, marital and family counselings. Okay, to treating the individuals, group, marital and family counseling in this all issues for changing their behavior, you can use this approach. And some problems to which the approach it is well suited are phobic disorders, like if the people are having such phobias, fear. Okay, for them also we can use this apply this behavioristic approach. And depression, those who are suffering with the depression, sexual disorders, children's behavioral disorders, okay, stuttering, okay, those who are stuttering, and prevention of cardiovascular disease. Okay, if any person is suffering with the cardiovascular disease, for treating that also we can use this behavioristic approach, because in cardiovascular disease, if the person is suffering with the phobias, okay, or stress and stress disorders, so because of those things the blood vessels can get contract, okay, so it may lead to the heart attack. So for that kind of people also we use this behavioristic approach. And beyond clinical practice, its principles are applied in fields such as pediatrics. Okay, pediatrics is a department which deals with the children. Okay, then stress management, behavioral medicine, education, okay, and geriatrics. Okay, so what is geriatrics? Geriatrics is the departments relating to the old people. Okay, we also called as studying of old people is gerontology. Okay, so here geriatrics is relating to old people, especially with regard to their health care. Okay, so taking the health care of the old people related to the psychological aspects, that is called as geriatrics. Next, limitations of this behavioristic approach. So major criticism are that it may change behavioral but not feelings. Okay, so the outward behavior you can change, but the feelings of the person you cannot change. That is the major limitation of this concept. And that it ignores the relational factors in the therapy, that is does not provide insight. Okay, see, insight is provided in the psychoanalytic therapy, where we are providing insight by understanding their conscious, subconscious and unconscious levels. But here in the behavioristic therapy, we are not providing the insight to the client, and that it ignores historical causes of the present behavior. Okay, so because of that reason they cannot they are unable to understand why this present behavior is with them. Then that it is involves control and manipulation by the therapist, and that it is limited to its capacity to address certain aspects. So only it is limited to certain aspects, because it is not providing the deeper insight of individual. And a basic limitation is that behavioral change cannot always be objectively assessed because of the difficulty in controlling environmental variables, because behavior is also based upon the client's environment, like his family members, society, community. These all factors depend on the individual's behavior. So we cannot control these components such as environment, society and community. Okay, whereas here they are only concentrating on the individual, and they can treat the individual behavior, but they cannot focus on this environment and other factors. So that is also one of the limitation of this concept. Then the next approach is humanistic approach. Okay, the third approach is humanistic approach. Humanistic counseling recognizes the uniqueness of every individual. So this counseling, this approach is based, the fundamental basic of this approach is considering the human beings as the unique individuals. Okay, they give respect to each and every individual's potentialities, abilities and interests here. Okay, they do not compare the individuals based upon the abilities, but they give respect to their potentialities, that each and every individual is unique in his abilities and interests. So humanistic counselor work with the belief that problems are not caused by life events themselves. Okay, because what we think that life is giving problems to us. Okay, life is becoming problematic to us, that we say like that instead, but how we experiencing them. Okay, because problem is created by ourselves, that we are not understanding the life. That is only the humanistic approach is focusing, that the people how they create problems by themselves, that they feel that life is becoming problematic to them and life is giving problems to them. But instead of that, people are misunderstanding the life, and they themselves creating the problem by not understanding the life, or not understanding the experiences which are given by the life. So our experience in turn will affect and be affected by how we feel about ourselves. Okay, so because we feel something, we don't want to go or flow along with the life or the nature, so we feel about our own interests and attitudes, we mix with that, and so that our we face the problems. So influencing self-esteem, Okay, what is self esteem? Like confidence about our own abilities and potentialities, and what we can able to do. Having a strong confidence about these things is called as self esteem. And confidence and the humanistic approach to counseling therefore encourages the client to learn to understand how negative responses to life events can lead to psychological discomfort. Okay, so because life is positive in its place, but we people, we are not understanding the life, and we are not going along with the life, and we are not giving support to it, and we are going along with our own experiences. So what happen, understand how negative responses, okay, we are giving negative response to the life because of our interest and our attitudes. So because of these things, discomfortness is occurring to the people, problems are creating. Okay, you are not understanding the life, you are applying your own experiences, your own interest and attitudes to the life. So what happened, you are not going in hand with the life, so problems are creating. So the approach aims for self acceptance of both negative and positive aspects. So here you must understand that what are your negatives and what are your positives. Okay, positive aspects, our characters and personalities. So here you should, as a human being, you must understand about yourself. This humanistic approach mainly focuses on self actualization and self realization. Means the person has to understand about his capabilities, potentialities, okay, and his abilities, so that he can understand about himself, then he can work according to the nature. Otherwise what happen, if you do not understand himself, he cannot perform himself in the nature or society. So that is the reason problems are creating. So humanistic counselor therefore aim to help clients to explore their own thoughts and feelings and to work out their own solutions to their problem. So what the counselor is doing in the humanistic approach, he make the client to understand himself by explore about his own thoughts, his own feelings, and make him to know, understand about himself. Okay, that is the main aim here. The counselor is focusing on the client to know about himself. And here the therapy we use in the humanistic approach is person centered therapy or client centered therapy, because here everything is based upon the person or the client is the center of this therapy. So that is the reason it is called as person centered therapy or client centered therapy. So the American psychologist, the Carl Rogers, okay, his period is 1902 to 1987, developed one of the most commonly used humanistic therapy. Okay, so this Carl Rogers belongs to the humanistic approach, and he is the person who has developed this therapy, that is person centered therapy or client centered therapy. So this client centered counseling, so this encourages the client to concentrate on how they feel at the present moment, and this also the essence of the mindfulness. Means they have to understand about their feelings, actions, okay, their behavior. That is the main aim of this person centered therapy. So the centered theme of client centered counseling is the belief that we all have inherent resources that enable us to deal with the whatever life brings. Okay, so here is a client is the center, and it enables the client to know about the things, okay, we deal with whatever life brings. And client centered therapy focuses on belief that client and not the counselor, because client is everything here, counselor is only as a passive observer, he just provide the facilities to the client to know about himself. So here client is everything, and counselor is and client is only the expert on their own thoughts, because client is know about everything, so counselor cannot do anything in this, just providing the facilities and directions. Okay, so client is the expert in the client centered counseling. Feelings, experiences and problems, appropriate solutions, and the counselor does not suggest any question or try to interpret anything the client says. Okay, so because he just remain as a passive observer, and he just listen to the client whatever opinions or thoughts he is revealing to the counselor, and the responsibility for working out problems rests wholly aim to reflect and clarify what the client has been saying. Okay, so here he just listen all those things and he reflect upon his thoughts and feelings, that what he has said to him, so that he can get the directions of his thoughts and behavior. And a trained client-centered counselor aims to show empathy, warmth and genuineness. Okay, a trained client-centered counselor is aimed to show empathy, warmth and genuineness, okay, which they believe will enable the client self-understanding and psychological growth. So if you provide empathy, warmth and genuineness to the client, it is easier to understand the client about his psychological growth. So what is empathy? We already know empathy is nothing but being in the shoes of the person, those who are feeling or suffering that situation. Okay, that is called empathy, means feeling his situation by putting yourself in his condition, that is empathy. Warmth, providing a good atmosphere, supportive and security. Okay, regardless of anything that happens during the counseling session, the counselor must be non-judgmental and accepting the whatever the client says or does, so without imposing evaluation. Providing good atmosphere to the client is called as a warmth. Then genuineness, the counselor should be truthful towards the client. Okay, he should show his truth face instead of behaving as a highly professional person. Okay, he should be truthful to the client, that is genuineness. And role of counselor is to set up an environment where the client is safe to explore any aspect of the self. He provide good environment to the client, and the counselor's job is to facilitate the exploration through a special I-though relationship. What is the meaning of I-though relationship? Here counselor has to provide such situation where the client has to make such relationship with himself only, so that in order to understand his thoughts and beliefs. I-though relationship is a personal relationship. For example, a relationship with a god. Okay, like for example a spiritual relationship we form with the god in order to understand about ourselves, that is I-though relationship. Okay, of unconditional positive regard, empathy and warmth. And the counselor use psychological testing on a limited basis, like the Q-SOT. Okay, he can use Q-SOT is sometimes used in assessment by the person-centered counselor. What is Q-SOT? It's a methodology, research methodology we use in the psychology, a method in psychology, and is a social sciences to study people's subjectivity, that is their viewpoint. Okay, in order to understand the person's subjectivity, means how he is giving his opinions, his feelings, his subject matter, how he is revealing. Okay, what is his viewpoint? To understand, we use this Q-SOT method. It's a psychological testing method in order to understand the or study the people's subjectivity, that is their viewpoint. That is the Q-SOT. So here the client is asked to read and sort each of the statements. Like here some statements are given to the client in this. For example, see, you can see in Q-SOT is a series of 100 statements. Okay, are written on a card. The statements are self-description. Okay, like I am capable, I am dependent, I am worthless. The client is asked to read and sort each of these statements, okay, and into 9 piles, from most like me to least like me. Okay, one statement is given and below that 9 piles should be given, that most like me, least like me, average, medium. Okay, like that. So 9 piles should be given to the client. So which is most suitable, he will choose that pile. Okay, so then the stacks are recorded. The client sorts the cards into what they would like to be like. Okay, so this is the way they use this Q-SOT research methodology in the psychology in order to study the person's subjectivity or viewpoint, means what is his view, that his opinion we want to understand. We use this Q-SOT. Okay, it is a set of 100 statements with self-descriptive piles will be there in that. By reading the statement, he use the pile. Okay, like most like me, least like me, like that. And then goals of the therapy. Person-centered therapy is directly concerned with the individual. Okay, see, the counselor facilitate the client towards realistic self perception means the client perceive about himself, perception, he got the perception about his own self, that what he is the about his thoughts, his behavior, his way of thinking, everything the client is able to know in this counseling, that is realistic self perception. Then greater confidence and self direction, okay, they, because they are knowing about themselves means they become confident here. Sense of positive worth and greater maturity, social skills and adaptive behavior, they learn, they become mature, they learn the social skills, and they also develop adaptive behavior. Adaptive behavior is nothing but adjusting towards the situation, and better stress coping, they able to cope the stress and more fully functioning in all aspects of their lives. Okay, in all aspects of their life they start functioning smoothly and normally. Then therapeutic relationship, the relationship is of primary importance. The qualities of the therapist including genuineness, warmth and accurate empathy. By showing this, he established a good relationship with the client. Okay, respect and non-judgmentalness, he do not judge the client immediately, and communication of these attitudes to clients are stressed, and clients use this real relationship with the therapist to help them transfer their learning to other relationships. So here he is getting very good relationship with the counselor, so it will help the client to reveal about himself. And techniques of therapy, what techniques here we use, see, this approach uses few techniques but stresses the attitude of the therapist. Okay, like basic techniques include active listening. Okay, means because everything is client only, so only just counselor has to listen to him and provide him directions here. Okay, including active listening and hearing, reflection of feelings, clarification and being there for the client. Okay, for supporting the client and giving security to the client. And the model does not include diagnostic testing. Okay, it does not include diagnostic testing, interpretation, taking a case history or questioning or probing for information. Okay, these and the techniques used in person centered therapy have changed over time. Okay, so they change over time according to the needs and situations, where according to the person's needs and situations we used to change the technique, which is flexibility is there in the using of techniques of therapy. Next, applications where we can use this therapy has wide applicability to individual and group counseling. Okay, and it is especially well suited for the initial phases of crisis intervention work. Okay, the initial phases you can use, and its principles have been applied to marital and family therapy. Okay, so married people and for the family people also you can use this therapy. Community programs, administration and management, and human relations training, it is useful approach for teaching parent child relations and working with groups of people. Okay, from diverse cultural backgrounds. Okay, from different cultural people also you can use this therapy. Generally, person centered counseling can help individuals of all ages with range of personal issues. Okay, so its applicability is wide. Okay, from individual to family, marital departments, communities, individuals, everything, everywhere you can use. So its applicability is very wide, the persons with the all ages with wide personal issues. And limitations of this approach is possible danger from the therapy who remains passive and inactive. So if the counselor is not good, if he is not listening the client properly, so what happen, that is the drawback of this counseling. And many clients feel a need for greater direction, more structure and more techniques. Okay, if the counselor is not providing good feedback, not giving good direction, not reflecting upon the thoughts and beliefs of the client, what happen, the counseling process will be mislead. So that is the major limitation here. The counselor should be active, or he should provide good and plenty of directions to the client, otherwise it may mislead. Okay, so these are the three approaches we have discussed here. That is first one is psychoanalytic approach. This psychoanalytic approach is the approach given by the Sigmund Freud. Here regarding this approach, this therapy explores how the unconscious mind influences thoughts and behaviors with the aim of offering insight and resolution to the person seeking therapy. Okay, then and we already studied about the psychoanalytic approach. What are the techniques we are using here? We are using free association, dream analysis, and analysis of transference, analysis of resistance, interpretation. Okay, then it is a lengthiest procedure and it may not give immediate results. Okay, for the people those who want immediate result, that for them it is not suitable. And then we move to the behavioristic approach. Behavioristic approach is changing the behavior of the individual. Here we use the techniques. These terms you must remember, like systematic desensitization and relaxation methods, fluiding, eye movement and desensitization, reprocessing, reinforcement techniques, modeling, cognitive restructuring, assertion, social skills. These techniques we have used in the behavioristic approach. And humanistic approach also we considered on the, we have given importance to the humans, individuals with, and we are respecting to the individual uniqueness. Okay, so these are the three approaches and very important topic. Okay, thank you.